Can you hear me now? Yeah. Hello, lovelies. And today is the launch day for Aetheria Rising, book number 5 in the Relic of Time War series. I've been trying to get a book out every 10 or 12 weeks this year and pretty much on track. This one plus How to Become a Crazy Cat Lady to Survive the Zompocalypse. I'm on track despite all of the migraines and everything. I did go back because this is one of the books that was on Kindle Vella that I then pulled on the Kindle Vella beta. And I did okay the first year, and then they opened it up to other categories. And then the platform just got buried in erotica, and 5% of the market share was basically going to all genres that were not romance and erotica. So I went ahead and pulled it off. It was only 60,000 words then. So I went and I had pulled like 30,000 words out of it. So I put them back in, rewrote it. This is the complete rewrite. And now it is working. So I'm going to share something real quick. Let me pull this up. Nope, not that one. That one. Okay. So I did a video the other day on that Kindle is now letting us sync the Kindle print direct print with the launch of our ebook. So it's not a true pre-sale link, but it allows you to set them to pop live on the same day. And so as you can see that, yes, they did both go live at the exact same time last night, same day, everything. So I was very, very happy about that. I wasn't doing the guessing game that my paperback, and this has happened for the last, I think, 6 or 7 books I've launched, that the paperback went live 24 to 48 hours ahead of the ebook because they're like, we need this much time to look over the book, and then they like approved it really fast, or they didn't approve it all, so we were just stuck. So let me pull up what I was going to do. Share screen. So I wanted to show you this. I'm very, very happy with this. So this is my cover. And let's see, who's in? Hello. Paget came by. Hi, Paget. How are you? RC. Yes, it's lit. Everything is lit. Rachel is here. Hello, lovely. Congrats on my launch. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I am working on some beta reads for Rachel. So fingers crossed, we'll get some books from her very soon. Hi, Rita. How are you? We're just showing the covers now. So this is the cover, and this I actually, am I on the right one? No, I need to go. Where's that? There we go. This image right here in the center is actually AI generated art. Now there's this whole thing with, AI and where can you go with it and everything. If I had an artist do this image for me, so just the image was going to be like $100 to $200. So by paying $10 a month to Leonardo AI, I was able to get an image very close to what I wanted. And then I had to do all of this other stuff. But it's the layout and stuff. And the Amazon tools make it really easy because they give you formats and you can just stick stuff in. But this is the print book cover. And then that is the ebook cover. But we got those done. But there is a lot of expenses to doing your own book that most people don't realize. They don't realize that you can very, very easily drop $200 to $1,000 on cover art. Yeah, art versus AI. Diane. Hello, welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's it is a very, very thing. And the reason I like Leonardo AI is you have the option to put images in it, but they have to be copyright free images. So there is a thing in the Leonardo AI thing, and you have to buy tokens. And so I use what I use is completely blank, and then I put in word prompts. And because of that, I get some really crazy stuff. And it usually takes me 2 or 3 days to find the image I want. But it's really hard as an indie author to like try to like have a beautiful cover if you're not already an artist. And yeah, Margaret came in. Hello, Margaret. How are you? Hello, Eva. Thank you. Be able to be here because well, we're happy you're here, Margaret. Eva says she just got one of your books in the mail today. Yay. Yes. And so the question we're all facing with AI right now and is how much do you use? Now, I don't use it to generate my ads. I don't use it to generate my blurbs. I don't use it. I use AI assisted for grammar editing. And because as you know, Grammarly is now AI assisted. Google, the Google spell checking and grammar program is now AI assisted. Adobe is now AI assisted. Vellum is a formatting program that is AI assisted. And it's like, it's really going to be interesting to see what this does to the publishing industry. But if you want to talk on that, hop over to my last video. I do a whole thing where I talked with a Amazon Kindle KDP rep about, does my book count as AI content because I have a single AI image on the cover? And the answer is no. Because I have edited it to create the cover, it is not considered AI content. Whereas we do have people that are like writing entire books and like spamming them onto Amazon. And it just makes life much harder for those of us that are indie authors. But then again, it's, for authors like myself who don't have $1,000 to drop on every book launch, or that can't afford to be like a friend of mine who is $5,000 in the hole for her first series. And it's money that it's going to take her a long time to get back. And where do we choose of where it's fair for only the affluent writers to be able to publish and have nice covers? So it's the AI debate is going to go on and on and on. And as my daughter is a multimedia graphics artist, she has because of the problem with that market being so oversaturated with people with that degree, and the price quotes are so high on everything that it's like, I don't know, it's hurting both sides of the community, because the artists can't afford to live without charging really high prices for a single piece of art, because that might be their only commission that month. But then the people who need the artwork can't afford to buy it, because we also, I don't know. And I struggle, because I honestly struggled with this, because the 3 covers that I found the images on Pixabay and that my daughter put together to make the covers for the Book of Elo series, the 3 covers, she spent 20 minutes on each of those covers. And then I did all of the typesetting and stuff. So, but when I tried to bid out for those covers, I was quoted $450 to $1,600, and it's not something I could have afforded. So, all right, back to the book launch. Okay, so this is book number 5 in the Relic of Time Wars series. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I'm very happy that I got to go back after having it on Vela for a year. It was on Vela for a year, and it did really well. And then Vela went live, and my sales literally crashed and burned. I mean, I was getting maybe 2 click-throughs a month on the sci-fi series, and everyone else I know that were sci-fi artists, writers and stuff, that none of us were getting anything. And the only people that were getting those were subgenre romance erotica, and they were the only people getting reads. So yeah, I think Vela unfortunately has pigeoned itself into that same hole as Royal Road, where it's going to be a romance platform, and the people will buy you buy tokens, and the author gets 50% of what you pay on the tokens. But the more tokens you buy, the cheaper the tokens and the less the author gets. So it's following the way Royal Road goes. And so, and it's pretty much turning into a romance only platform. And so I decided, well, I'm just going to self-publish, because that's what I do. I self-publish. So I brought out the Relic of Time Wars, pulled it all down, did a massive rewrite. Between the first 5 books, I have added an additional 100,000 words to the entire series. So I'm now at like 1.4 million words. And just working on that, doing the editing. Aetheria Aetheria Rising is basically the point that happens. It's when it happens. What happens after Ancient Ice Apocalypse, when everything is kind of settles down, is Daisy ends up setting it so the Atlanteans, who you find out are actually Aetherians, can go back to their homeworld. And this story is about them returning to their homeworld, re-landing on their homeworld, and the planet was destroyed by a cataclysm, and nobody knows what the cataclysm was. They just know that the cataclysm war happened, and a remnant of the Aetherian people fled to Terra Earth, and that's where they ended up. So this is the blurb I have for the book, and all of my blurbs for this series, every blurb starts with a prophecy. So, when the last oracle comes, she will find a way. She will lead Lord Karstein's people home. She will bring light to the place of darkness after being shadowed for a time. If she doesn't, not even the stars of the sky will be safe from its hunger. Seer Milady of the Mazzoni tribe. And then the rest of the blurb starts with, these surviving Aetherian people made the 3,000-year-long sublight journey back to their homeworld and started building a new kingdom. The world of their ancient kingdom is filled with the necromanced corpses of their ancestors from the Cataclysm War. But more dangerous are the shadow worshippers who hide among the remnant. Prince Karstein's father, the guardian Lord Calith, and Karstein's best friend, the Oracle Daisy, aka Dr. Daisy Kane, work hard to aid Karstein's beloved princess. While the world of Aetheria is resettled, Daisy makes a terrifying discovery. The deadly dark towers are on other worlds. Terra Earth was not the only target, and all worlds risk the fate of being aged and frozen to death. It will be a long 400 Aetherian years before they can return to get Prince Karstein from Terra-Earth. Can Caliph and Daisy help Princess Allura hold the young kingdom together while keeping the Dark Ones from kidnapping her for their shadow deity? Can the princesses most loyal thwart Damien's followers and resist the dangerous forgotten evil that could destroy their kingdom forever? The journey begins. 17 days after launching, everything checked out as gold after they passed through what Daisy called the Kuiper Belt. It seemed like such a short time passed since they left behind the blue-green world to be called Terra-Earth someday, but emphasized just how long the journey home would take them. The Aetherian people had sought refuge to escape the Cataclysm War and built the city of Atlantia, but Terra-Earth was covered with time-energy-corrupted ice and was a haven no more. Keth physically inspected the 1,909 occupied sleeping sarcophagi and checked on the nearly 2,000 filled with animals, plants, and insects. All were working perfectly. He paused at the one sarcophagus which concerned him the most. The woman was pregnant, but during the long sleep, neither would age. The unborn baby's scans were fine, but the mother was weak, barely registering as alive, after she was gravely wounded in the battle against Prince Damien for Atlantia. Keth knelt next to Daisy's sarcophagus, placing his forehead against it, and prayed. He couldn't feel her heartbeat. He knew he wouldn't be able to feel it while she slept, but its absence was like an open wound. Master Healer Miles warned him she might not survive, and the Precipice's goal was to keep her body alive to save her child. It was what she, as the Oracle, ordered. Keth grieved her willingness to sacrifice herself to save their daughter. As his soul reached for hers, he felt a flutter of warmth and light reach back. It gave him hope. His father Adamos' words came back to him. Hope endures as long as love lives. I'll be here when you wake up, little flower, Keth promised. He drank a sleeping and healing potion, then turned on the machine that would entomb him for nearly 3,000 years. When he woke, he would no longer be called Keth. His son Damien was banished by time and distance and would be dead when they returned to this world. He would not need to keep his identity a secret any longer. His last conscious thought was of her, just like the last time. And then the guardian, High Lord Caliph of the House of Adamos, slept. Almost 3,000 years later, he stretched as he awakened. Caliph's first thought was of Daisy, just like the last time. He woke in one of the sleeping sarcophagus the Aetherians used for healing and space travel. Unsteadily, he rose and carefully walked to a healing bed. The longer the sleep, the longer the recovery. He remembered his father teaching him. Master Healer Miles was the first one to awaken. Caliph was the second. The elderly healer was off checking the condition of the other sarcophagi. As Caliph looked over the ones containing the 21 chosen to be woken first besides himself, the healer, the princess, and the oracle. If the oracle woke up. He shook his head. He would not let himself think that way. She would live. His oracle father promised him they would have a life together. Caliph reclined in the golden glow of the healing bed, waiting on it and his rejuvenation factor to strengthen him. As the last full-blooded Aetherian, He healed much faster than others. Caliph focused his mind and soul on Daisy. "I'm here, my love. Are you?" He thought about every moment they spent together. They seemed so few. He remembered the first time he saw her, when she was fighting for his sons, and how she wept over her failure. The way she looked lying asleep in the wildflowers after the battle. Their first fight and first kiss seemed only moments apart. That kiss sealed his heart as hers, even though he thought in those moments after he may never see her again. Yet his father spoke of her often. Adamos called her his little flower of hope. Then she came to save Atlantia, to save his people, and at first she resisted his love, because his murder by his son, several millennia earlier, broke her heart. He thought about what happened the night on the ice when she saved him. Her love allowed her to use the ancient magic of the Oracle Stone to keep him from death by time poisoning. The same magic which healed him and protected her created a life. A special progeny now grew within her, a child of the light. He would not be able to court her as he planned. Magic fused their soul together. There would be no getting to know each other, as they knew almost everything about each other now. Looking through her memories, he did not understand most of her life in the modern world. Her world, her life, her science were so strange to him. She was different from him in many ways, but none of that mattered anymore. He would love her and only her for as long as she lived, for that was the way of his people. He would cherish every moment, no matter how few. Caliph wondered if his father Adamos had known. He felt the flutter of warmth and light reach out to him and knew she was still alive. Caliph whispered, "We made it, Daisy. We're home." Comforted, he slept and strengthened. Daisy opened her eyes. She knew she wasn't awake, not exactly, but she was conscious. "Hello again, little flower." A gentle voice caused her to turn suddenly. "Adamos!" She rushed to hug him. He chuckled as she collided with him with enough force to make him take a step back. "We did it," she giggled, "and you're going to be a grandfather again." "I know." Adamos looked down at her with slight sadness. "But you have not accomplished all that was foreseen for you to do. Not quite yet, my little oracle." "Where are we?" Daisy looked around the glowing room. The walls were polished with faint matte symbols. On one wall, there was a drawing of the Relic of Time. "This is my room of light. Every oracle has one." Seeing her looking at it, he smiled, praising her. "I'm glad you figured out the math of the symbol of our family, but you have much more work to do before the war is truly won. So many worlds to try to save." "Try?" Daisy tipped her head and worried. "You cannot save them all, but never give up. I believe with all my heart you and my son shall defeat a far greater evil than my shadowed grandson." He took her hand. "Let's go see yours." There was a shimmering iridescence blinding her for a moment. Then she was in the same place she stood with Caliph when they kissed after he should have died from time poisoning. Glossy flower and vine trim along the corner and cornices, with an opening to the starry sky and a great swath of nebulous golden white mist above. It looked like the aurora borealis swaying. On one wall, matte mathematical symbols and equations, the ones she used for the time machine. The rest of the walls were conspicuously empty. She put her hand on the blank polished surface. Why are these blank? Because you haven't filled them yet, Adamos answered. You are an oracle unlike any other, and your understanding of our power will be unique. A baby cooed, and Daisy turned to see Adamos holding an infant with a halo of golden curls and golden jade eyes. Oh, she's so beautiful. Asha is a special child. She will be a great healer to our people, a gift of love and ancient magic. He placed the infant in Daisy's arms. Asha is a beautiful name. She worried she would only have a handful of decades with her daughter. Do not be discouraged. The oracle stone and the sarcophagus have changed you and will make you stronger, Daisy. He kissed her on the forehead. Your and my son's love will bring hope to a generation raised without it. Your love will be a light when the darkness returns. Always remember, little flower, hope endures as long as love lives. Inhaling deeply as she opened her eyes, Daisy could hear voices coming from another room. She struggled to sit up and gaped at her hair. It had changed from being dyed lavender back to its normal brown. She didn't know the healing beds would remove her artificial hair color. Moira will be peeved, Daisy thought tiredly, but amused. Her foster sister picked the color to match Daisy's eyes as part of their time camouflage. She noted when they went to rescue Aetheria, it wasn't this long either. As a trembling hand pushed it back, she touched her ear. She reached up with both hands in her shock. Her breathing struggled to get into her lungs. Her ears were pointed, like Karstein's ears, like Aetherian ears. How is this possible? Her mind reeled with the implications. If a human can be made into an Aetherian, disease and even death could be conquered. She could see her reflection in the golden glass of her healing bed. Except for her ears, she mostly looked the same. I need answers, her mind decided. She felt muddled, like she'd been dosed with a sleeping potion, but Kars wasn't here to dose her. He should be back in their time of origin, in the far distant future. Placing her hands on her stomach, she didn't even have a bump, but she could feel the warmth of life. A child made from love and magic after just a kiss. Shakily, she rose and started toward the voices. She was sure one of them was Karstein's true love, Princess Allura. The other was familiar and yet not. Daisy only needed to walk to the next room. She would make herself get that far. Her legs resisted moving, but her will compelled them to bear her weight and her feet to move forward. One step, one more step, another. Keep going, Daisy. What do you mean you don't know how this happened, Miles? Allura was asking. She isn't human anymore. She's Aetherian. No, I don't have to see the scans. I only have to look at her. What about the baby? The voice was familiar, but different, less gravelly than Kayla's sounded before. His tone was worried. Was it affected? No, the child was always Aetherian, but somehow the oracle has been made into an Aetherian as well, Miles answered. Daisy realized she could hear the healer in her thoughts instead of aloud, as he had spoken to her before. Her wandering mind tried to figure out how it was possible, but she knew Presbytes were different from humans and Aetherians. She had only met the Presbyte Techmiclin until they arrived in Atlantia, though Kars, David, and Ezra told her many stories about the Presbyte healers they knew named Michael and Mike. She would have to study them too. Miles was explaining that he thought her unborn daughter's magic had something to do with her change. Just 2 more steps, Daisy. 1 more step. Talking to herself, Daisy clutched the doorframe. Allura looked at her shocked and gasped in surprise. Daisy? Miles and Caleb surged to their feet. I'm sure I can figure out if you'll just show me the scans, Daisy murmured as her vision swirled into darkness. She felt herself start to fall. Someone caught her. Her last conscious thought was knowing that it was Caleb. Just like cars, he never let her fall. They always caught her. Caleb held her gently and carried her back to the healing bed. He laid her down and brushed her hair off her forehead before he kissed it. He felt she was the same Daisy who squeezed his fingers only moments before the battle against his son in Aetheria. But everything about her had changed. He watched her sleep. Days ago, he had considered himself blessed to have a few decades to love her. Now they could share millennia. It was more than he could have ever hoped for and brought him no small amount of worry. Well, we know her willpower wasn't affected, he stated matter-of-factly as he re-entered the room. How is she even able to stand? It's been less than half an hour since she was taken from her sarcophagus, Allura demanded in surprise. Karstein once told me she has the strongest will of anyone he ever met, that she never quits on any task or problem until she has the answers. She never gives up, never stops trying. Tomorrow, we won't be able to keep her in that bed, Caleb explained seriously. Miles made an unhappy sound. She must rest. She can work later. Caleb bowed his head once in agreement. He may know everything about her life from when their souls fused on the ice, but that didn't mean he understood her. Daisy was unlike anyone he ever met. Her life was a puzzle to him. Allura laughed at Miles' unhappiness and Caleb's worried scowl. Oh, you don't know the Oracle, Healer Miles. Karstein and Moira both warned me of the same thing. She is going to be your most challenging patient. And so that is the prologue into the story. And then it starts with chapter 1 of them basically having to pick a planet. They get back to the Aetherian system and they have to pick a planet. And it's a lot of mix of sci-fi and fantasy. It's got elements of magic, which Daisy is constantly trying to figure out. She is always trying to figure out everything about the magic. And she even because she now has access to magic, being an Aetherian, but doesn't know how to use it because they have this quad helix DNA and blah, 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 universal background noise. And anyway, she starts discerning the energy of magic as an actual harmonic resonance in the universe. And that for some reason, the Aetherians, through their unique DNA, are able to manifest this. And I can't tell you why, because that goes all the way to that goes book 16 is they go back to the origins of the Aetherians. And yeah, but Daisy she figures out, because she is a physicist and a mathematician. She's a mathematics savant who is a physicist. She basically, because there are no other oracles to teach her, she basically starts manifesting her magic through her math. So she figures out a math of magic, which makes things very interesting later in the book, because there are rules that can be bent and rules that can be broken. And unfortunately, Daisy takes her use of magic down to the decimal point, which occasionally results in her just like fainting dead out cold. She's just gonna, she'll like overuse her magic, and she's like, and I'm gonna faint now. Flop. And it's like, why, Daisy? Why do you do this, Daisy? Yeah. Poor Caleth. Poor Caleth. He has no idea what he has gotten into, being sealed to someone as obsessive and compulsive as Daisy, because that is, they don't have OCD. The Aetherians don't have OCD. They don't have that kind of a thing. So yeah, they're going to be dealing with that, and they're going to be dealing with Damien's followers trying to undermine the kingdom. They're going to try to usurp, the building of the new kingdom. They're mad because they find out that in the far future, Daisy killed Damien. So now they're trying to kill her and her daughter, and yeah, it's drama and politics, and they're trying to rebuild worlds and explore their own system and figure out why the planets have all this weird terrain thing. And then they start finding other planets that have these ice towers on them. And it turns out that this extra dimensional entity is harvesting. They call it a parasite. And it's basically harvesting entire worlds for biomass. And it either freezes the world and shatters it using corrupted time energy, or it just scrapes off the top of the worlds like peeling a piece of fruit. And so, yeah, how do you fight something that snacks worlds? And how do you fight against its followers when they basically indwell living creatures, or they necromance and indwell undead creatures? So yeah, this is book 5 in basically a 15-book series. So, and yeah, but this whole book, this originally was 2 books, and I did not put this one on Vela. This is the only one of the first 7 that did not go on Vela. And it's Daisy building science, them trying to figure out all these different worlds, and them trying to figure out exactly who their enemies are. And the end of this one is kind of terrifying, because you get a face-to-face with the enemy, and you see the potential for them to try to infect and indwell even humanoid beings as powerful as the Aetherians, who have regenerative properties, who heal very rapidly because of their stem cells, and have redundant physiology like Klingons do, so that they can die and then they fall they fall into this death-like coma state while their body repairs itself, and then they pop back. And I didn't want that to be like this thing where like they're like, oh, I died and now I'm back. No, one of the things the Aetherians is, if you die and revive, it hurts. It hurts for days. The nerves in your whole body hurt from being rebooted. So the dying is not pleasant. And if you are sealed to someone like Caleth and Daisy's souls are sealed together like soulmates, yeah, it's not a pleasant thing, because if your soulmate dies and revives, you get to feel that too. So yeah, there's a lot of drawbacks to having a soulmate in this series. It's not all wonderful and butterflies. And as you can see in the chapter that I read you, Caleth, he has now seen Daisy's memories. He has no idea what any of them mean. And this comes up more than once. They're like, is there any of this in her memories? He's like, well, there was this time and I don't understand what it means. So yeah, I had a lot of fun writing this one. This one was just like me word vomiting when I wrote it the first time, because I was really more excited to get back to the series where all the characters were back together. So this is what happens in the 400 years before Daisy and Caleth rejoined Karsten, Devon, and Ezra back onto Earth. So yeah, and that's it. That's the launch. That's my book for today. It's on my Amazon page. The links are below. All the other books are below. It reads a lot like YA. It's kind of a very YA type writing style, but it's gonna have political themes in it. It's gonna deal with there's a section in this where Caleb and Daisy, some things happen and they drift, and Daisy almost works herself to death because of the drift, and she can't connect with Caleb anymore. They can't they're soulmates, but they're basically roommates and this happens long-term relationships. If two people stop communicating, they're going in the same direction, but their paths aren't touching. And this happens to Daisy and Caleb, and they get back from it. And they have Asha, and there are threats against the kingdom, and they have to deal with the fact that they get back to their home world and they discover that it's filled with basically these zombies that were from the previous kingdom. They find these necromanced corpses and corrupted creatures. And since no one knows what the Cataclysm War was, they were like, what the hell happened on our planet that our landscapes have been basically scraped away and regrown? And the maps that we have of our world are completely different from the way the world looks now. And dead things. So this whole series was basically written for my kids while I was recovering from my stroke, and so far they are happy with the rewrites, and I hope everybody else who reads them are happy too. All right. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Yes, this hope endures as long as love lives. This thread goes all the way through the entire series, all of the books, the 4-book prequel. It's basically everything to do with the beliefs of the oracles, and Daisy's the last one. Thank you for coming to my launch. Thank you everyone for being here, for listening to me read the book. I'm going to load my outro video. Be blessed and have a very lovely day.